Hey, what's going on, everybody? So this is the weekend prep for the week starting March 22nd. And so I'm just going to kind of walk through everything. I'm looking at everything fresh with all of you. And so we'll just kind of see what we see. So first thing I like to do is just see what's coming up on the news. So looks like for earnings, we have Nike on the 31st here, which I don't think will hit next week. I think that'll be the following week. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on that. Lots of bread here regarding Iran. So what happened on Friday? So Trump said there's a possibility of mobilizing troops and putting boots on the ground, and then I think later on he said, "Oh, maybe they're going to wind down the war and all this stuff." So it's been kind of back and forth, and I think the market kind of reacted with selling off and then spiking back up. So we'll kind of see. I mean, it's still the weekend, so we'll see what happens going into Monday. Not really sure. I think overall, just with the uncertainty, probably bearish is the way. So we'll just kind of see how that looks. Big things for next week. Not much happening on Monday. Looks like on Tuesday we got services PMI flash. So that'll be, so I guess on Tuesday, like first 15 minutes, I would just wait for that to shake out and then see what happens. We got crude oil, so that'll be interesting, I guess, given the focus on Iran and oil. There's a whole like making oil available, Iran oil available, and kind of foregoing sanctions on that, but then not paying Iran, I think. So I'm not really sure of all the economic stuff related to that, but maybe that's going to be good for gas prices. So we'll see. And so we'll just see if that inventory is kind of reflects some positive sentiment. Again, I don't follow it too much. I just see that like, hey, this is happening. Let's just watch and see how price reacts. Then we got jobless claims, so that's always good for volatility. Then we got sentiment, so that's always good for some volatility there. And then really not too much after that. So I guess it's all going to be eyes on what's happening out of Iran for the news there. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on that. So I guess looking at how price looked, excuse me. So for I guess just kind of looking across, so all the futures and the ETF, kind of looking at NQ, just starting here, like we still have this 24, 400 zone kind of, like if we're staying above this level, this 238 or 23900s, let's call it. We've held that here. We held it back here in November. We held it early in March, and we held it again. If we break that, then yes, probably a scary thing. But we'll see. Maybe folks are going to defend that, right? But it's interesting. You look at the volume at the end of Friday. It's biggest delta for a long time, right? Biggest delta since here. It's bigger than when we printed that low. So that is something just to kind of pay attention to, right? Is it bigger? Yeah, it's just about as big, right? Printed that low back in November, just about as big delta there. So that is telling. So we'll just see if there's follow through there. Excuse me. So for futures on the ES, so we are testing this low here back in November again, but like volume on the futures, more buying delta. So, like if this was both negative, then I would be like, okay, there's follow through to the downside there, but I feel like we just have some disagreement and rotation. So we'll just kind of see what that looks like going into next week. Gold is just down, 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 breaking down, broke down past that flush in February and just kind of, yeah, just down. Lots of gaps to close to the upside. So we'll see if people can buy that up, but that is super down. And when we look on the Qs, definitely no agreement on Friday. A lot of people are buying shares. So we'll just kind of see how that pans out. And then no agreement on the SPY as well. Like, so SPY and ES, lots of people selling, lots of people buying on futures. So for me, it feels like, yes, price is saying down and you can't argue with that, but people are, you have to see like what are people hedging, are people not, but there's no agreement to like which direction the volume's going. So for me, I'm kind of open to both sides. I mean, obviously more bearish, but definitely open to surprise to the upside. So there's that. The only real agreement we have is on gold, down and down. Price is breaking down like you cannot argue, and volume is also saying yes, down is the way. So maybe if you want to go short, maybe continue selling gold lower, we'll see. You got some interesting support levels on the ETF at around the 400, so you got 10 more dollars to go down. And then yeah, like the 4340s, 4390s, you know what I mean? Or not 4400s could be an interesting level. I guess like a nice round number before we, like, maybe we sweep that and then we find support, but maybe we keep going down till we hit that. So there you go. That's something that will be on watch for me next week. VIX on the short term, just up, and even Friday, more up. I guess as we go into the war, so there is that. YM is breaking down. Broke this support in November. We got this other level in October that we might test. So we'll just see. We'll see how that goes, but it doesn't look good. And then for the Russell, I mean, the Russell's kind of like, you got a lot of support in this zone, I feel like. So we'll see. We'll see if we kind of get back here and just kind of trade sideways. It feels like Russell's maybe gone back into this area, so maybe there is some support here. Dow has some further room to go potentially. I mean, it did bounce off of this November low. It's like ES, NQ, and Dow have bounced off this November low. Well, I guess even Russell has this November low here. So actually, there's more downside to the Russell if we're pegged to that November low. So Russell could go lower. And see if Dow breaks first, or if ES breaks first. That would not be good at all. So that will be the level to watch. Yeah, just that November 20 low across the board. See if that holds or doesn't hold. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. All right, cool. So let's look at options flow here really quick across all the things. So on the Qs, lots of buying on Thursday and then kind of muted going into Friday on the options. But yeah, definitely bearish on Friday. Similar with SPY. Again, like, I think Thursday people were trying to bet to the upside and didn't quite pan out yet. So we'll just kind of see. Gold, I think all these people are happy, all these puts. So they made some money there, which is fine. VIX, more upside betting on Friday, which we saw. Friday on the holdings, all bearish though. So that's going into next week. Dow, so on Thursday, everybody was, I guess, bullish. They were expecting a bounce, but didn't quite work on the NQ, on the SPY, on the Dow. Interesting on the Russell or the IWM, more put flow here on Thursday and then just kind of following through on Friday. But yeah, Friday definitely closed more bearish, so there you go. I guess we'll check out the top 8 here really quick. So Nvidia is still holding up pretty strong. Lots of buying volume here on the close of the week, even though we broke down. So it's still holding up the NQ. Like, I think that is what's holding us up in that range. So there you go. Apple, lots of buying here, even though we kind of are testing the support level at 244. So if this holds, then maybe we keep bouncing around on the Qs and maybe even on SPY. Microsoft breaking down, but I think, well, I thought we would try to find some support here, but we did break that support here from early February, but with lots of buying volume. So we'll see if that was just a sweep and we push back up. But there's this little gap right here. Maybe we keep going lower to 366, which would not be good for the Qs. Broadcom, I mean, it's still holding up. Like, it closed that gap kind of there. I don't know what that gap was about, but it definitely closed it and it's held above it. So we'll see if it can turn. Definitely volume's picking up. So let's see how that goes. Ooh, Amazon. Gap down, close that gap. Now we are breaking down big. Sell delta here on on Friday. It's not good for overall market. So there you go. A little bit, some fear there, it looks like. Tesla, bulls, even though we broke this support, right? This 382. Broke down, gap down, broke down. But people are like, nope, I'm going to buy more. So we'll just see how that pans out. I guess your next, I mean, this is kind of the level, this 365. So we'll see if that holds. I mean, I guess if you really want to be stubborn, maybe this 344. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out on Tesla, if that breaks down or not. Meta, just break, lots of selling on Friday. Breaking, let's see if we can stay above this 580 or not. If not, there's this nice little gap here to close. 555. Yeah, I feel like maybe it wants that, so we'll see. And in Google, you know, Google has been holding us up for a long time, but it is breaking down, but a lot of buying here. So yeah, man, when I look at this, let's see. So price looks like it's kind of breaking down a little bit across, down, 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 down. But lots of buying on Nvidia on Friday, buying on Apple, buying on Microsoft, buying on Broadcom, but selling on Amazon, buying on Tesla, selling on Meta, buying on Google. So Friday, a lot more people bought, right? They bought the dip, even though price is not confirming upside. So let's just see how that plays out. I think if price doesn't confirm upside, you know, and you know, who knows if these people are buying and holding through the weekend or not, but if you bought on Friday, you weren't happy for sure. So let's see. And if you're holding through the weekend for, I guess, a coin flip, like something good happens and we gap up potentially, then I guess that would be good for you. But if that doesn't happen, you know, we have to watch these support levels for more downside, I think. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. Do a quick little look here on options flow for top 8. So let's see, we got more bearish, well, kind of muted, not so much activity really on Nvidia, but more bearish volume. Kind of muted here on Apple. Subdued on Microsoft. A little bit muted on Broadcom. Subdued on Amazon, subdued on Tesla. Kind of muted, but more bearish. I mean, more just bearish overall for Meta, and a little bit more bearish bets on Google. So nothing like crazily stands out as far as like high conviction. I think there was some high conviction on the long side for Broadcom on Thursday, which like was happening on the Qs and the SPY anyways. Didn't quite pan out. But yeah, I mean, still, it feels kind of muted, but overall kind of bearishness on the options flow there. So I think we'll just be watching price going into next week. All right, so let's look at sectors here really quick. And I'll just kind of skip the options because it's mostly hedging and all that stuff. So technology is holding up. Again, I think it's just Nvidia and Google holding us up here. So there's that. We got financials breaking down. Yeah, they're breaking down. We got discretionary breaking down, so that's like Amazon and all that stuff. Energy, no surprise, you know, with oil and everything else pushing up. XLV, I think this is healthcare, breaking down. Industrials breaking down. We got staples breaking down. That's interesting. So they even broke that support. So we're going down, and like utilities, man, big down, big down. Lots of selling here, even at the lows on the delta. So super interesting. So I think like all sectors are down except for energy. So everybody's just rotating into that given uncertainty and everything else. So we'll just kind of see how that pans out for NQ and ES and gold. So it feels like oil might be where to put the money at, so we'll just kind of see. And then just quickly looking at all the metals and macros. So dollars kind of pushing up here. We got our treasury yields and everything kind of breaking down here on the futures, which, you know, supports more downside. We got Bitcoin 70,000, I guess is fine, but I'm still looking at 50s and 30s. Looks like it kind of wants to turn up on price, but yeah, I don't know. All week it's been more negative on the volume, so we'll leave that alone. Oil, yeah, had that big spike and still holding up, so there you go. Silver down. Palladium or platinum? I think it's palladium's down. Copper down, but a lot of people are buying that. Gold super breaking down, and not a lot of people are buying that. So oil is the winner, I guess. I don't have natural gas or anything else on here as far as energies, but maybe those are doing better as well. But yeah, at least for what I trade, everything is down, down, down. So we'll just kind of see how that looks going into next week. And then kind of quick look at, yeah, the options flow for Bitcoin. Kind of neutral, muted. Oil. So it's interesting, right? For oil, like not a lot of upside bets for the options flows on the ETF. Kind of equivalent, but like more buying on the shares. Gold's down, silver down, all that stuff is kind of what we talked about. Yeah. And then I guess how we closed on Friday, just lots of red. I mean, energy was the big winner, which we saw. Volatility. I mean, that's just what it is with the war. So, I mean, down seems to be the way as of Friday. Yeah, how Monday kind of pans out. If there's positive news on the war, like if it magically ends and they kill everybody, I guess, and I don't know, they transition leadership and all that, then super surprised everything goes up. I think it's higher probability that the war will continue. Uncertainty will continue and downside will continue. We'll test those supports. We'll test the support. Maybe we'll, fight at those levels. But yeah, I feel like I'm looking for downside um, next week. But again, you have to always be open to surprise, and everything can change on Monday. We'll just see what happens in the news. Cool. Well, that's it for me in my review. Hopefully this is helpful. If there's anything that you would like me to look at, I guess as far as the review and kind of focus on for this analysis, feel free to post a comment. Again, this is just what I normally do for myself as I kind of walk through it, and just kind of sharing it with all of you in case it's helpful. Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time. Good luck and don't get caught.